Hello, I'm ToycatA, and it is a sad, rainy day in my overworld, so I'm going to go to another dimension, and I'm going to work on a project I'd needed to do for a while, because I'm going to fight the EnderDragon more than a dozen times today, and I think that you should as well, and let me explain why in today's video. First things first though, we're going to need some supplies if we're going to fight the EnderDragon. We need a lot of end crystals. Again, every time we want to respawn the dragon, it's 4 end crystals, so we're going to need, if we're doing this, 10 times 40 end crystals, and it's going to be more than that in reality, so lots of end crystals, which requires a lot of glass, a lot of gas tears, and then a lot of eyes of ender, so let's get some of those. Let's also grab one of our bows out of this chest. We probably need to repair this up, but that's going to be entirely fine. I mean, there's not going to be a shortage of experience today, that's for sure. So let's take our bow, let's take our gas tears, let's take a nice stack of arrows from this chest, except we'll probably need more than a single stack, so let's go find even more of those, and let's combine all of these things together and go to the end. So this is going to be a huge resource, not just in terms of the number of resources I need to collect to fill it off, but also in terms of the fact that my end is covered in glass right now. That is a lot of work I'm going to be immediately undoing, but you know what? There's a reason behind it. That's right, I'm going to be placing down what effectively amounts to explosives in a dimension which I have covered in one of the most fragile blocks in Minecraft. It seems very ridiculous on the surface, but actually my logic here is thinking, okay, I'm going to have to do this at some point in my world anyway, because here's the scoop in Minecraft. Every single time you destroy the EnderDragon, the first time is the most notable, but every time afterwards you get a brand new end gateway. As you can see, I've killed the dragon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's an original from the Xbox, One and Xbox 360 days. There is number 6. I don't know if this counts towards the total, and then potentially number 7 as well. You can see they're kind of misaligned in that way. But basically, I have 7 end gateways, and that means I can kill the dragon between 13 and 15 more times. I'm genuinely not sure which it is, because again, this is a weird converted world. And every single time I will get a brand new end gateway. Right now, you can only get up to 20 of these, and it makes sense to have all of the end gateways built, because right now it's really asymmetrical. The fact that there's 3 there, 2 there, and then 2 over there, it's kind of an ugly mix if we're being honest. So wouldn't it be better if we had all 20, making a perfect ring around it? So obviously the best solution would have been to do all of this to kill the dragon all 20 times before I covered my end in glass. If you're going to be doing a big project in the end, I really recommend doing this first. It just frees up some mental space. It frees up something that you're gonna have to do anyway that can't mess up your other stuff. However, I didn't do that. I was just expecting it to be a one-off wacky project in my end. I wasn't expecting to have to expand this, but you know, we all know eventually there's an end update coming. We all know that eventually you're gonna want to have some fun end projects, and honestly, I've just been working on more and more things that are specific to the end, and as a result of that, I've just realized, okay, I need to make this pain happen once. I need to just get this out of the way, so I've mined a bunch of the glass around here, as well as some at the tops of the towers. Hopefully most of will be destroyed by the end crystals, and yeah, we're gonna see what happens. By the way, if you're like me and you have beacons set up in your end, because maybe you've been destroying some end islands, or maybe you just have beacons here because it's fun and it adds to the dimension, I really recommend you destroy these 2 first, because the EnderDragon can destroy any block that isn't end stone, any block that isn't, like obsidian, or any block that isn't the bedrock at the top of those towers. And you know what? Those are blocks that you're mostly not placing. So just pick them up, save yourself some heartbreak in case the dragon flies through a beacon, or almost as bad, flies through some gold blocks or some iron blocks. Let's just save ourselves that hassle. But yeah, let's find out now for sure what happens when we place down our end crystals. There's going to be some amount of destruction. I just hope I've limited it by, again, destroying a lot of the glass already. You can see there's been a lot of disasters that have happened without even trying because of glitches and stuff. So let's avoid this happening again. Let's just swallow our pride and our pain, and let's see what happens here. So yeah, if you've never respawned the EnderDragon before, fun fact, you can do that. What happens is, oh my god, so much glass went missing. It spawns in new end crystals on top of the towers. It actually will regenerate the towers as well if you have... Oh, see. Oh, that was weird. It regenerates the towers as well if you've destroyed some of those. And yeah, what it also does is apparently detonates a giant explosion, which takes away so much glass if you have the. That's after we've done our preparations too, by the way. Oh my god. Anyway, so I don't really care too much about Endermen, so I can just fly away from them. But let's go ahead now and let's take out these end crystals. except because we want to minimize the time the dragon is flying around, because while she's flying around, she can cause problems for me. What I'm going to do is okay, I'm trapped in a box apparently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and fly around and take down the towers. Oh god, the dragon just... We're going to try and take down the towers as the dragon flies past them. This is a... Okay, wait, we missed that one, but let's do this. This is a way to get a little bit of extra... Okay, we need to grab an actual block that we can use here. Oh god, I am... I am a mess today, huh? I am just taking all the damage that I don't need to be. But that's okay. As long as the dragon takes more damage. That's what matters to me. Actually, wait, I'm going to change my strategy. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take down the towered cages now, because, you know, the cage towers now, because they're going to be the most annoying to try and get on the spot. So let's just destroy those. Make sure the dragon can't heal from either of these. Let's do the same. Just over here, go down, destroy our way. Ooh, okay, wait, we don't want to do that yet. We want to get down to here, place a glass block. Okay, you know what, the dragon, very rude figure. I don't know why she wants me dead. All I want to do is kill her and take her baby away from her and use it as an artifact in my world. What is that so much to ask for? Seems a bit ridiculous, don't you think, dragon? Being a bit dramatic about this, trying to murder me for my views that I hold. Oh god, the dragon is glitched out. You know, I knew it would happen eventually. No! Oh, what happened to me? And what happened to her? I knew it would happen eventually. I know whenever you make a video about the end and Bedrock, something's gonna happen. I mean, we had the multiple Ender Dragons, but now we have an Ender Dragon that floats in the sky and is stuck kind of endlessly, it seems. Okay. Okay. You know, should have seen it coming. This is on me, really. This is my fault. I can't actually leave this dimension without killing the dragon, and I don't know how. Wait, is she in the center? Is that just a model that's over there? Okay, I need to know, just for curiosity, if I attack this flying model in the sky, will I deal damage to it? The answer is a no. It does not exist. It took some of my durability on my sword away, but it didn't reward me with anything. So we need to, like, leave and come back, maybe? If that doesn't work, we're really screwed, because I'm here in the end without a way back home. Please don't do this to me, dragon. Okay, so the dragon's gone. Hey, she's back! I did it! You know, I don't want to flex, but I am able to undo dragon glitches on Bedrock. Apparently I can... Oh, God! Okay, so here's a fun one, by the way. It's not even really a glitch, because it kind of makes sense that it's like a headshot multiplier. If you fire a projectile through the head on the dragon at just the right time, you can deal double damage to her, which is very useful, as you might imagine. But yeah, let's fly around. Let's take down these towers, and let's make sure that the dragon gets as much damage dealt as possible, so that we don't have to. Wait, where's she gone? Has she vanished again? Okay, you know what? This strategy, even though it theoretically is a great one, it just isn't working for me. She's managed to heal up way more than I've managed to take away her health. So let's just destroy all the towers as fast as we can, and then do the simple strategy where we meet in the middle, attack her 3 sets of times, and then get this done. Her movements just look so glitchy. Do you see this? Like, it's bizarre. Anyway, let's do the same thing. Try and get a shot going through the head. That does some weird stuff, as you can see. And now we can get some serious damage in before she flies around. And we wait to make it happen again 2 more times. Oh, we don't have to wait very long, it seems. Fire another shot at the head, do the same magic. Seriously, having a Netherite sword with this amount of damage is a really nice little bonus against the dragon. And let's see if she flies down 1 more time so fast. Oh, she does. What a treat. What an objective little treat. So anyway, that is our... No! Okay, you know, we've got to kill the dragon. Let's, It's literally a hit left or something, so we just have to... Oh, come on, there we go. Dragon is dead. I've never seen it, like, float up to the left of the portal like that before. But whatever, as long as the Enderman leave me alone. Hey, there we go. Look at that, the dragon is dead another time. And so, just to confirm I'm not crazy, and, you know, just... I'm sure everyone knows this, but just... in case you don't, a new end portal gateway has spawned. So we had previously 2 over here, 2 over there, 3 over there, and now we have 3, and then the 2 from before, but we have this 1 in between them. So you can see it looks kind of ugly when there's a gap between those 3 and this one here. This is exactly what we're trying to do today. As you slowly do this more and more and more, you'll complete a full circle around the edge off your end. And yeah, it's something I find very useful. But yeah, let's go pick up some experience. You don't get as much as the first time you kill the dragon, but you get a healthy amount. And when you've used a bunch of your bow, that can be handy, I imagine. So yeah, 250 experience. Basically all went onto the bow, but now I'm ready to perhaps do this again. I really should do some inventory management, but yeah, how about we just don't for now? And let's give this another try. So, same thing. Dragon respawn number 2. Happening right now, using up 4 end crystals, which are pretty expensive items to craft, but it's worth it because we'll respawn the dragon, and she's gonna break my heart one more time by respawning these towers and making more explosions happen. It's really buggy the way it happens, but I guess I'm glad, if nothing else, that it's not destroying any more glass. The explosion is the same every time, which I guess is good. One of the fun things I've always thought about Minecraft is one of the benefits you get for killing the dragon, you know, the elytra, by being able to go out to the End Islands, is something that makes the dragon fight so much easier. But because of the fact that you don't actually need to kill the dragon to go out there, I'd say getting an elytra is something that's like almost a must before you even bother trying, because it's just so much easier to just go through here, fly between the towers, and then when you're near them, you can make a little explosion. And yeah, it's pretty great in my opinion. By the way, even though this is going to come at a cost of thousands of glass to rebuild this when it's all done, there is one small benefit that we can kind of take solace in, and that you should take advantage of if you're doing this anyway, and that is that every single time you respawn the dragon, these iron little blocks will respawn, the iron bars, I think they're called. These are kind of expensive to craft normally, it's like 6 for 16, so if you need a lot of them, you can go through and mine them, and then you can feel like you're getting some value from your inordinate amount of, I guess, end crystals, which in turn is a lot of glass, a lot of IF enders, and a lot of ghast tears, which aren't fun to get, let me tell you. But I did it. But you know what is fun to do? Killing the dragon for a second time. Oh, not again. Why'd you have to do this? Why'd you have to deliberately make me fight another time? I'm going to try and do this with my sword this time. It's going to be a waste of fireworks, but it's going to be satisfying to know that it's possible. Oh, okay, no, I'm not. You're not. You had to ruin that for me, didn't you, Gene? Goddamn Gene. Always ruining it for me. So yeah, second End Dragon defeated. And you know what that means? That means we have our 9th end portal gateway. Potentially 10th, potentially 6th. You know what, the count's going to be confusing until we're done here. We're just going to have to keep going until it's clear we have a full circle. But yeah, now we look around and we see that between the 3 and the 1, so there was 3 round there and 1 over there. Now you can see this one's appeared. And again, we're just going to slowly fill in a circle. I don't understand in what order entirely it's going to generate, but that's half the fun, isn't it? No, it's actually not half. It's not very fun for random things to happen in a random order. But what is fun is seeing all of the experience we're going to get. Make a fun guess in the comments now. How much experience will we have by the time we're done with this? It's going to be a lot. We just don't know how much of a lot. So yeah, let's make ourselves some blaze powder to make some IF enders, to make some end crystals. I guess we're going to have to make a lot of blaze powder for a lot of IF enders, for a lot of end crystals. And yeah, let's respawn the dragon for time number 3. Yeah, that's exciting. You know what else is exciting? Knowing that you're in a glass-filled end and you got a dragon who cares not about how long something takes to build, but instead only cares about wreaking havoc. So yeah, just in case you want to do this, it's technically a worthwhile thing. Be cautious of being on a tower that's about to respawn, I would say, but you can destroy them. No, you can't, apparently, actually. Huh. So we just wait here until we can destroy them and hope that there's no explosion in the meantime, I guess. Yep, that seems like a valid enough plan. There we go, and yeah, now we can... Oh, wait, do you see there's just some ender pearls up here? I guess there was an enderman that got destroyed, probably, by the explosion. It's funny to see. So yeah, let's take down the towers. Ideally as the dragon flies past them, but right now, we're a lot more focused on just making sure there are no more towers. Oh, and by the way, just because that critical hit thing is something I wouldn't believe otherwise, here's me attacking the dragon right now. Look how much health it's dealing. Here is me firing a arrow through the dragon's head. It did pretty much nothing, but what it does do is it means the damage per hit is going significantly up, and it will go significantly up for the duration of the fight. You know, I guess for the duration of the flight as well. She doesn't ever stop flying, does she? So, you know what? That was not me misspeaking. That was me being funny. Gotta justify your mistakes here. But no, there's all sorts of like weird rumors that sound like that with no basis. Where they're just like, oh, you know, like the classic one is, oh, sand grows faster on sugarcane. It doesn't. People just say it does, and it's kind of hard to disprove. And it's like, why would anyone lie about that? You know, the question of like, why would anyone lie about something is something we have to ask more and more on the internet, because unsubstantiated lies, you know, can go a pretty far way these days. You know, for very little reason to you, it might seem there are very good reasons to make very small lies. You know. Sometimes those lies are just there is urban rumors, like they're just incorrect pieces of information that we share because they sound right and we'd like to believe they're right, but sometimes they can actually be pretty darn harmful. So to avoid harmful things, actually not, we should just do that in the future, but to avoid harmful things, I guess don't come to the end, but also, you know, just a little bit of fact checking. I think it's important. Another fact you can check is not just this critical thing, but you know, is it like programmed to the dragon that she deliberately like teases you? Does like one last ring around when she's got no health? It seems like it must be, because that's the third time it's happened in 3 fights. But yeah, another invisible, dead dragon. 3 of them are dead, and that's a fact you can confirm. I guess only as much as you can trust this video. I mean, you can trust me as much as you want to, though. Or don't want to. Maybe this is all some elaborate ploy. What isn't an elaborate ploy is the fact that we're placing down some more end crystals inside some end acid, which feels like it shouldn't work. It feels like that should explode on contact, but it doesn't. And you know what that's gonna do? Spawn in dragon number 4. Okay, my new strategy for the very start of the EnderDragon fight, the moment she spawns in, I can take her. I'm gonna take down the cage towers because they're the hardest ones. And we're gonna try and get this like time to kill the dragon after a respawn down to as little as we can, because that seems like the most important thing we can do right now. Hey, 1 more down. Only a few more to go. Also, the ingredient I'm missing most to actually craft these is glass. And although usually that would be a tragedy, conveniently enough for me, I happen to have an entire shulker box full of glass we can just take some blocks out of. How convenient. This is why you should always have shulker boxes full of glass on you. You never know when you're going to suddenly need to craft a bunch of... you know, it's a very common thing, people just needing to craft some end crystals on the fly, for, in my case, a whole nother 12 of them. But yeah, let's go for EnderDragon number 5, shall we? So in the past week or so, I've had a lot of time to think, and most of the reason why, if you're curious, by the way, is I've moved back to the UK. That's why my microphone doesn't sound terrible anymore. And to get back to the UK, because of current travel restriction stuff, a flight that should have taken 10 hours to get from the US straight to the UK instead meant that it took 36 hours of 2 planes. I went more than halfway around the world, which I think is a cool fact. Like, I'm glad that I personally enjoy flying enough to think that, like, sure, that's fine. I think it's like a crazy sign of how the world has become. But, you know, something about how the world is. Because right now, we're in a very interesting time. I think it goes without saying by any real measure, but things are pretty interesting right now. Things are pretty different. There is a big situation, perhaps, you think, in the world, that by doing some number of actions, we can, you know, as a collective, save a bunch of people's lives. So at the very least, save some economical situation, or save something, you know. There's something that needs saving. People feel like right now, there is a thing that we used to have that we might not anymore, whether that be the status quo, whether that be the government situation, whether that be the number of lives that did exist last year that don't exist right now. By the way, you know what this is? Yeah, you know what this is. So, like, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of things we could do that could save a bunch of people, and it's this interesting thing about positive versus negative action. You know, like, when people are talking about how they want the world to be, usually they talk about it, like, from a vacuum standpoint, right? From a standpoint of, like, oh, yeah, if we were in a perfect world, we'd do this. But that kind of ignores the reality that is like, well, we don't live in a perfect world. We live in this world, this reality of right now. And a good example of that is, think about murdering someone, right? If I murder someone, that is objectively bad. I have snuffed out someone's life. You know, they don't deserve to die, probably. I mean, you might be able to murder someone who does deserve to die, but that's a philosophical discussion for another day. I still think, you know what, like, shouldn't there be a different value on a life depending on how it is? Like, you know, we treat it like it's one crime, but like murdering, you know, murdering a murderer should be considered less murdery than murdering, you know, like a family man who has a bunch of dependents, or, you know, a mother, or, you know, like just a family member in general. Most people do have people who care about them. Whereas if no one notices, I guess kind of society doesn't punish a crime if no one notices the crime. But anyway, that's a fun, maybe not so fun debate we can have another time. But think about murder, right? If I murder someone, objectively bad, as we deem it in society right now. However, if I don't save someone is drowning, and I could save them, but I choose not to. In my case, it's not because I choose not to, it's because I don't swim. But let's say I can swim, I'm perfectly capable, but it's like, I don't want to get my phone wet, you know, like, ooh, that's like an expensive thing. Like, you know, I don't want to have to like deal with getting that fixed and getting the data off it. I just won't save the drowning person, right? Let's say that is my word for word logic that I'm going for. You know, in effect, it has the exact same outcome, right? Whether I actively choose to murder someone or whether I just choose to continue doing what I'm doing and not save someone's life, one net human life is lost. But we treat those two circumstances as very different. In some countries, it's not a crime to not save someone's life. A lot of countries, I think it's called Good Samaritan Law or something. There's a lot of countries that are actively like trying to make it so that you have to save someone's life if you run across them, and you know you're in a situation where you can save them. A lot of countries have like legal protections if you are trying to save someone's life, so you can't get sued. For instance, like, you know, one of the crazy things is if you try to CPR, if I'm not mistaken, you sometimes will break someone's wrists. Chests. What's it called? Ribs, not wrists. You know what? You could break someone's wrists doing CPR, but you're probably not very well trained in it. But you could break someone's ribs, and then in theory, if they lived, they could sue you. Which means you'd have the incentive, if you do break someone's ribs, for them to later die, because then they can't sue you, etc., etc., etc. Because then, you know, like if someone's dead, they can't sue you for lack of their ribs. Not just because, like, well, they're not alive, but their family are like, oh yeah, there's no life that is impaired by lack of ribs, because there's no life. And so there's a lot of interesting like legal questions we get to raise. There's a lot of like ethical questions we get to raise about like, okay, should you have to save someone? But and it's not in every country that you have to save someone's life if they're right in front of you, and it's easy to do so, or even if it's hard to do so. Like, shouldn't there be an amount of effort that's required? And that's because of like positive versus negative actions. Murder is universally agreed as bad because you're, you know, taking a world that exists right now and you're just adding one murder to it. You're taking away one life from the world. Whereas if you take a world where oh no, it happened again. Damn it. Why does this happen and how? I'm so confused. Also, she can look at me now, it seems. And she can still fire acid. I just can't do anything about it. It's so confusing. Okay, the dragon's back again. It seems to be a very easy bug to fix. You just reload your world. The fact that I've had to reload my world twice in an hour is potentially a concern by itself, but it's a concern I have for another day, I would say. Anyway, so like the idea of like positive versus negative action, like if you actively doing something versus not actively doing something are very different situations. Oh lord, okay, it's fine. Yeah, they're very different situations, and we all kind of see it that way, despite the fact that the net outcome is the same, because we just, you know, that's how we're kind of hardwired in certain ways. And it seems kind of fine enough when you're looking at that particular example. It seems like, sure, there is a difference in intent, and therefore maybe you should get either a lesser crime or no crime at all is my argument. Like, I don't think it should be. Even though I would like to save someone's life, I don't think I should be obligated to. That's a weird, like, me-only philosophy, I think. I think most people find that to be bizarre and different. But, you know, I don't. How about that? But, yeah, so I think even though that's what most people would say, it's something I differ with. But there's lots of examples where we use this to kind of change psychology. So, for instance, right now, there are lots of countries undergoing some form of lockdown against WHO advice, but like whatever. You know, like countries believe the best way to do things is to lock stuff down on varying degrees. In reality, it's like a lockdown in name only. If you look at like places like the UK, because people are still going to school and to work, and to most places they're just not going to shops. It's basically like a hey. You know, like if you want to do any non-food shopping, it has to be on Amazon law that we've got right now. Which, you know, I like Amazon. I think they provide a great service. I just don't want to be legally obligated to use them. But the interesting thing is like if you look at the, you know, like imposing that for the first time, imposing like you're not allowed to leave your house to socialize. You must work and you must go to school, and that is all else, comrade. You know, like when you first impose that, that sounds scary and draconian. Like, even if you're in favor of people staying inside, you know, I am. Like, I think people should stay inside as much as they can. Like, it's, you know, like, you can save some lives potentially if you do so. There's an interesting thing behind like, oh yeah, the first time that one of these things is instigated, it seems crazy and wild and draconian. It's like only if it's absolutely necessary, or, you know, hospitals will be overwhelming, right? But then if you fast forwards a little bit, it becomes like only if it's absolutely necessary to, like, you know, it's gonna save a few lives, and then it goes from, oh no. I guess I've got the totem, but like, still don't want to use it this early on. I like having my safety totem, okay? But then it goes from that to like, oh yeah. There's an interesting difference because yeah, the UK just locked down. It was actually for a second time, so there's a really interesting psychology difference there of like the you know, what's happening is you know, like this is the second time few people are doing it. Starting a second lockdown, very unpopular. Like a lot of people rebelling against it in weird ways, and then it's like, oh, but it's only for a month. But then once you're already in a state of lockdown, once you're in a state of one of these things, continuing it is a very you know, like, that's a very different thing. Like, oh yeah, you're just continuing the status quo. Continuing the status quo is the exact same option in both cases, except one of them leads to, you know, like, one of them is telling people to stay inside, and one of them is not forcing people to stay inside. You know, they're the same thing in that they're just doing nothing, they're keeping things how they are, but with very different outcomes. Once something has been instigated, undoing it is very hard. And my favorite example of this is always income tax, right? Like, if you don't know, almost every country, including the US and the UK, which is where something like 60% of you are from, most countries that instigated income tax, it was a temporary measure to fund some form of war. Like, we need to temporarily take, you know, just a few percent of your income to pay for some crazy war that, you know, like, it's pretty important because we'll all die as a country if we don't. And as you all know, every developed nation now, with very few exceptions, has an income tax much higher than those percentages. In fact, if you look at taxation as a whole, there's an interesting thing where it only ever goes up, and it's because if you ever try to, you know, lower taxes, it's like, oh, you're giving money back to people. Why should you be doing that? You know, you should be funding insert thing here instead. You should be funding roads or schools or libraries or school libraries or road libraries or school roads or roads or schools. You know, how are you gonna teach the people at school? You're gonna need a school for that. How are you gonna, where do the libraries get their books from? They go to the library. Actually, I guess a library would be a big room with lots of libraries inside, and you could search for the various libraries. There could be a librarian that could, like, guide you as to where you want to go. You know, I'm digressing right now, but you know what isn't digressing? Saying that, like, yeah, that's like a necessity, and it means that, like, even, like, a lot of people feel like, you know, like, taxes go down all the time. That's a thing. That's what, you know, one of the people's always wants to do, right? They want to go, oh god, give the money to the billionaires, and ignoring the fact that, like, not taxing someone isn't giving money to them, it's just not taking it away from them. There's an interesting thing where if you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, what's actually happening there is, you know, like, over time we just always continually do more, because the status quo, like, you know, like, the fact that they see it that way is because, yeah, that's the status quo. The status quo is you take 40% to, depending on your country, like 47%, like between the 30s and 40% of someone's income if they live in your country. That's the price of living there. And, you know, because you see that as the status quo, it's kind of like when something gets increased in price, even if it would be a fair price, it hurts because the same thing you were buying previously now costs more. If something decreases in price, even if it was a really expensive price before, it feels like, oh, well, that's fair and justified, right? I mean, an interesting example of this, I find car salespeople to be fascinating. Like, the fact, you know, everything about their job is fascinating on some level to me. Oh, we need to get one more ender pearl. Wait, I guess we should go to the overworld and just find a stack of them. But what if instead? Oh wait, I don't need to go to the overworld. You know where I need to go? I need to go to my Enderman farm, which I hope hasn't been destroyed at all. Okay, it's going well. Oh god, look how many Ender attacks are flying this way. Things get weird real fast. But you know, like a really famous example is like cars. If you go to a car dealership and they won't negotiate on price of you at all, they'll just say, "This is our price. This is what we charge. You know, take it or leave it." You might feel bad about that unless you think it's a really good deal already. But if someone, you know, like let's just say there's a car you really want and it's $400, because cars are that cheap. It's a well-known fact. So you know, you want to buy a car and you know it should be costing. They say like, oh, it'll be 400. and you're like, okay, I'd like to go a little lower, and they're like, no, 400's the end price. You know, they work out their price that they want to get for their thing, and they're just honest about it. They're upfront. They give you the best deal possible, but you feel kind of interesting. Whereas if someone says, oh yeah, the car is 600, you go in, you're like, I want 450. They're like 500. You're like 450, and they're like, fine, 450. You're like, yeah, I just got one over on him. I won, this negotiation. Also, yeah, you can see, look, I've got an end portal in a separate ring because it's from, again, a long time ago in a different version of the game. And it means I'm going to have 21 end gateways when I'm done. Also, I'm really worried that there's going to be some overlap between the end gateways and my little glass pyramid. I don't know for sure if there will be, but I'm slightly worried about that. But yeah, it's so cool to look around here and just see that the ring is slowly forming. And again, once we've got a full ring, we can never have our end be destroyed by this monstrosity again. It's gonna be great. By the way, I'm picking up so much experience. I should really work out like what I should be doing with it. But you know what's way more fun? Just picking up a bunch of levels and working out what the answer to the universe is. Or maybe not. they're bouncing around, but they're not coming into me right now. You know, it's fine. It's fine. Speaking of things that are fine, you know what attempt we're on? Yeah, it's going good, huh? So yeah, I think it's really interesting the kind of psychology behind like how changes affect how we're affected by various changes in various things. I think it's hugely interesting the way that things that we're already doing are fine and things that we're not already doing don't get to be fine. Just based on like whether it is how it is right now. And you know, I think people like I think in reality most of the time I'm kind of just like, yeah, that's how it probably should be, because okay, the dragon's fine. You know, most of the time I'm like, okay, I guess that's the only way it can be, because if you try to make this imaginary world where, you know, like everything is exactly how you want it to be, and therefore things are imperfect right now, that can work fine on an individual level to help you do things better, like help make the world a slightly better place as much as you can by making it slightly closer to that ideal. I think if you start from your ideal and work backwards, as so many people do, what you're really saying is like, oh yeah, let's say you want to make a world without phantoms, right? You know, I really don't like phantoms. I think they're a terribly designed game mob. But if you just say like, oh yeah, we'll just go back to a world without phantoms, remove the phantom, easiest decision. Can't believe there's any question that we even need to consider before doing it. And, you know, I totally agree. You know, World Without Phantoms would be a better world. Let's not even question it. Let's just go straight into doing it. But in reality, if you just remove the Phantom without all the things that it's kind of intertwined into, you know, you're not making the world a better place. You're making it a worse place, because now there's no way to repair the Elytron. There's no way to make the slow falling potion. But then you're like, oh yes, we'll just work back from there. We'll like, you know, kind of keep things roughly how they are. Like people who want slow falling potions, we'll give them another way to make that. But it's like, oh yeah, when you start to do that, you're not working forwards from your perfect world, you're working backwards from the existing world. You're like, okay, in a world where people want slow falling potions, in a world where people want to have this sort of stuff, how do you keep them having that? You know, I'm just not going to go for critical hits for now. I do enough damage without it, and the dragon just waits for cycles to end anyway. Wait, let's just, one more try, just in case. Maybe it's like, there's a perfect angle we're going to go for. It's very confusing. It's like the neck you've got to shoot. It's the under the hood code is even more interesting on that dragon thing. But yeah, like if you want to like actually make the world a better place, you've got to see what people are doing in the existing world and then make it better in that way. If there is, you know, hypothetically, let's say, yeah, actually, let's say Minecraft would be better without microtransactions, right? I agree with that, even though technically speaking, you can use those microtransactions to buy one of the things that I have made, because it's the only way for me to put things on console. But still, you know, as a result of a system that I'm not a huge fan of, something, you know, like I now have a thing that I enjoy in existence. But if you ignore me from this equation, just because like that's a thing, if you remove microtransactions from Minecraft, what you're effectively doing is removing the income source of a good 100 or so build teams. Sure, some of them would be able to like set up some form of direct Patreon or sales outside of Minecraft. But if you know, if they just start selling outside of Minecraft anyway, isn't that basically the same thing as keeping microtransactions in the game? I mean, I would argue there's a difference, but is there really a difference? And you know, again, we can argue endlessly on this one, I feel like. But you know, appreciating why, you know, and you know, like you're also saying, oh yeah, Minecraft's a really profitable game right now, but eventually, presuming they keep their expenses high, it's going to have to make that money back. It's going to need to do some things to equalize that. Should Minecraft cost more upfront? Or is it fair to let the people who enjoy Minecraft most pay the most for it, you know? Because that's how it works right now. Right now, you get it for very close to free if you're playing on a mobile device. Like, they've done promotions before where they've sold Minecraft for 99p, like basically giving it away for free. And, you know, the kind of other end of that deal is, like if you're playing on Windows 10, it's really expensive because they just work out you're probably willing to pay. The other end of that deal is that if you are a power user who wants to play lots of maps and you don't want to download them from outside the game because that's too much effort, or you want to support creators, you can end up paying hundreds of dollars, across my Store Saturday series. I'm sure I'm at $100 by now to Microsoft, and they keep a 30-ish something. Like between their platform cut, their own cut, they're keeping in some cases over half of that money, and as a result, they made $50 that could the amount that I might have spent myself personally could be equal to 50 people paying for that thing, allowing them to effectively get a discount. If you just remove the microtransactions, as so many people want, it's like, okay, then you got to remove the other things that come along with it. There's always a more complex process than just like, oh, what if we did X? What if we just had a world where it didn't happen? Because once it has happened, it's really complex to remove. Once you're in a world that does have, for instance, here's the thing: airport security used to be super lax before. It's 9/11 is the big event. Like America had a big terror incident where they thought, we can't trust the world. We don't trust you guys. You're all potential terrorists. So what we're gonna do, even our own citizens, what we're gonna do is we're gonna implement way crazy security mechanisms to ensure that you don't. We want to ensure that you don't cause us any hassle. And, those are, in some cases, huge invasions of privacy. But now, those huge invasions of privacy are seen as, like, part and parcel of safety. It's very hard to undo those things without people feeling like, either one, they're less safe. I need to go get some more gas tiers, I think. What are we actually running short on? Is it just glass again, actually? I guess it was just glass. My bad. I underestimated this entirely. But it's fun to see the overworld again. The rain has stopped. I guess we can stop with the project now, huh? Yeah, I'm getting a pretty healthy amount of iron bars as well. Things are going well for me in this one specific way. I'm mostly just heartbroken that my end's being destroyed, though. But with every good thing comes bad things. That's the famous quote. It was actually blaze rods we were also short on, so I killed a few more blazes, got myself some blaze rods, and I'm hoping this is enough to finish off my end gateways and to finish the deadly destruction that is happening to my end. And again, the kind of I think about this like status quo, how much things can change just by flipping it around, and how much how disastrous some seemingly normal things are. Like, spawning in the dragon, really essential thing to do, and I agree that it is. And it's actually a pretty harmless thing to do most times. Like killing the dragon 19 more times than you need to actually go back to the overworld seems pointless, but I think it's a worthwhile thing. But if you've built a giant project in your end, I totally understand why you wouldn't. It's the exact same behavior, you could argue, but yet the circumstances are entirely different. Because of whether it exists or not. And one of the first things that always comes to my mind is like, friends and relationships as a whole, right? One of the things I've always thought is quirky is we don't really have friend breakups aren't a real feature, but they always kind of exist. There's always a moment where you go from being friends with someone to kind of being looser, If you don't hang out with someone for a long enough period of time, eventually your friendship gets looser and looser and looser until, until eventually it falls apart. That's what happens at friendships over time. This isn't News 21. But what is perhaps news is the fact that, like, if you're friends with someone and you don't explicitly friend break up with them, you maintain your friendship with them. Not because they're the perfect friend for you. Most, statistically speaking, if you think about, this applies to romantic relationships all the time. Like, statistically speaking, you'd never find the perfect person for you. But, relationships aren't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who is good, who is, a right fit for you, etc. And the perfection thing is just kind of like romanticism and like narratives and being like, oh yes, I can't imagine anything more. You probably can imagine something more. The fact that you can, dealing with how things are is actually a really valuable part of growing as a human being, learning that things aren't Disney movies and fairy tales and whatnot. But anyway, I think the interesting thing is, like, if you look at your friend groups, if you look at anything like that. Are your friends the perfect people for you right now? If you say yes, you're flattering your friends, but it's statistically unlikely. Like, oh yeah, the perfect friends for you happen to be the people you went to school with or work with, or, you know, like you have some bond like that. I don't necessarily buy it. I don't think that really is who those friends are. But you keep them friends, partly because you're already friends with them, and, you know, it's kind of how it is, because they're not bad enough friends, usually. If you have a really bad friend, I recommend breaking up with them. I recommend telling that friend, no, actually, I will not, you know, like, let you... You know, I think having a friend break up with a particularly awful friend is important. I had a friend, I had a guy, like, in my school who was, like, particularly, I remember he was, like, also, I have no arrows, apparently. I went through, like, 2 and a bit stacks of arrows. Jesus, that was fast. Yeah, I had a friend who was, like, particularly egregious when it comes to... Also, man, you gotta leave me alone, Enderman. You gotta leave me alone. I had a friend who was, like, particularly egregious. Like, okay, I stopped being friends with him. But, you know, if he was just mostly okay, I think a lot of my friends in school probably were just mostly okay. I've said this before and I'll say it again, but, like, having a group of friends more than about 5 or 6 people isn't a group of friends. When you have 8 friends, that's not having a group of 8 friends. That's having a group of 3 or 4 friends, and then those friends having, like, overlapping groups, you know? You don't like every single person in a group of people. They're just people that you're okay being around, unless they do something particularly horrible, and you want to not be around them. But that's just how the friendship works in that level. And, yeah, I find it to be hugely interesting, this idea of, like, you wouldn't break up with them that way. And, you know, like, if we try to go on something... you know, like some contemporary issues. Think about, like, the very functioning of police, right? The fact that there is a body of people who has... In America, they all carry guns, right? In the UK, there's, like, special armed police too, though. Like, that they're just very uncommon. But the fact that we give people authority to hold these weapons that can kill people instantly in a second, you know, if guns weren't invented, we probably wouldn't invent them today. But because they are invented, we can't just pretend that there is a world without guns and be like, you know... Yeah, no one should have guns. Let's just all voluntarily give them up because, you know, game theory and all that stuff. But yeah, we have these people who have this, like, button they can press to instantly end someone's life if they choose to. There's also a way to press it to only probably end someone's life and shoot them in a body part that only that might not kill them if you got the right type of gun. But we've got these remote hole poking devices that can effectively kill people. You know, not even effectively. They can. I guess effectively in this, they can effectively kill people in the sense that it's very effective at killing. They poke a hole directly into someone's living organs and then they make them not alive anymore. It's a whole tragedy, am I right? But yeah, so, you know, like, if you think about, like, at some point, it was, like, given the authority that, like, yeah, we need a group of people who can, be trusted to handle these. So if something really awful happens, you know, these people with their guns can step in and they can do fine. However, because, you know, over time, that kind of authority was expanded, and, like, you know, you can never go back on that. If you know, the reason, one of the scary things about the police, like, I'm not a big fan, even though I think, like, you obviously need some form of law factor. I think that ideally we could do as many human interactions as we could by just dealing with each other. You sometimes need some form of arbiter, like, you need a legal system of some form. You need to have you know, some police system of some form to you know, keep things going. But the fascinating thing about it is, like, who would when you say, like, oh yeah, we're gonna take it away, it's like, oh, so then there'll be nothing to stop people from criming, because while there is that system in place, people don't think the reason they don't commit crimes is because they don't want to and because they feel awful if they did. They think the reason they don't commit crimes, or at the very least if they've never thought about it, the reason other people don't commit crimes is because they can't, because they'd be policed away. And isn't that scary? Isn't it scary that when you live in a world where just, like, force is used... You know, the reason that people don't bomb airplanes is not because, oh yeah, it would kill a lot of innocent people. It's because you can't. It's because airport security. Like, it's really scary when you move into a world with a status quo. Also, I think I'm going to need these arrows because the EnderDragon's taken really long this time. I was going to try and do an entire run without taking down... You know what, we can just do this. We'll just wait for the dragon to fly in again. See, there we go. She basically just undid all of the work that I did. We're fine with that. You know, I enjoy attacking the dragon in the mouth anyway. But yeah. So one of the that's an interesting quirk, right? If you look at the concept of police, the idea of security, the idea of, you know, like a nationwide lockdown. In America, it's still a very taboo idea because it's never happened. Whereas, you know, in countries where it's already happened, it's like, oh, you're just extending and doing the thing again. For the most part, like. People are very resistant to I guess change is always a harder thing to do because it's easy to say, let's make change. People can agree with the idea of change. Once you start talking about specific changes, once you start talking about specifically changing material circumstances as they are right now, that's when things get really scary and really different. And yeah, one of the examples I'm most scared about with this is probably social media. We, at some point in the last 10 to 15 years, moved from a social media model where social media showed you things and was like, oh yeah, here are some YouTube videos you might like. Oh, so here are some YouTube videos you can choose to watch. Here are some Facebook posts from your friend you can choose to stare at and read their vapid, worrying political opinions that make you feel like you're in some dystopia that maybe everyone is just one misclick away from finding themselves in the conspiracy dark side, the moon side of the internet. But you know, like one of the thing, you know, like social media used to be there to just show us these things, right? It was just as it was a tool that we had to use ourselves. And then at some point it became a business model where they worked out if they develop algorithms, they can show you things that will keep you on the site for longer. Sometimes the things that keep you on the site for longer are the conspiracy groups. I mean, think about it this way. If you feel like you've just discovered this crazy new thing that no one's talking about, you want to learn more about it. And that's great when that crazy new thing is, you know, a new Minecraft update. That's I mean, I would say so. That's great when that crazy new thing is like a new hobby you've gotten into. I got really into climbing and seeing... every time I get into a new hobby, I get like really recommended for it. But that one of the things that can also be is conspiracy theories, which, you know, like if you believe in the conspiracy theories, it's fine, right? But if you believe that conspiracy theories are conspiracy theories and don't necessarily all have evidence, even though a lot of them are true, which is the really scary thing. And that's how the rabbit hole works. Like you can't disprove them. You can only show evidence, but it leads people down rabbit holes that will keep them on the site. It makes them a lot of advertising around you. But it means that social media has become this weird slot machine kind of thing. It means that we've gone into this world where it's like that. And now the question isn't, should social media be psychologically addicting people and leading them down rabbit holes of conspiracy theories? Instead, it's like, well, what would you do instead? And it's like, well, you know, like you'd want to go back to a system where that wasn't the case. And it's like, well, as soon as any single site decides to do that, because they're in a market, a status quo where they fundamentally can't choose to do that, because then people just go to their competitors and get conspiracy theories there. You know, I'm using conspiracy theories as a thing. Like, I think that's just like an example that's really bad. I think there's a trillion things that are bad for your health you can do here on YouTube. There's a trillion things that are bad for your health you can do on Twitter. Like, go down the political rabbit hole where people are like, oh yeah, so you're not. It's really harmful. The wild thing is that like people go down these weird like places where it's all about purity and who can have the most. You know, are we just gonna have to take down these towers? I didn't want to have to, but I think we might have to. Are we gonna do this? Yeah, you know, the dragon just refused to fly into the center, and she upsets me. She upsets me greatly. I was gonna create arrows, but then I just realized I could probably just use some iron bars and achieve a similar effect. Oh god. I hate just how deadly end acid really is. Oh, no. Okay, we'll just fly back to this. No, we won't. Okay. Okay, let's go. Let's destroy this tower. I'm really cautious about... Oh, without arrows, I don't think I can do this without getting destroyed myself. And I don't really want that, so I'm just not going to. I'm just gonna... Oh, I don't even know what my strategy is at this point. What projectiles do we have that aren't ender pearls? Because on Bedrock, the ender pearls damage you the most. Okay, let's just stick to my strategy. See how long it takes. Okay, 5 minutes later, and so many EnderDragon rounds. I think we're finally there. Except no, we're not. I lied. Oh yes, she did, and that means that unless something catastrophic happens, it only takes 6 extra minutes if you want to kill the dragon while towers are up. A lot of people don't know this, but you can take down the dragon without the towers being down. It just takes a lot longer, and it's not really recommended because most people have limited stuff. But just in case that is you, there is a solution, and now you know about it. See, I'm gonna go get some arrows, and we'll be back. Just in case you're curious about what our end portal gateway situation looks like now, you can see how we have almost a complete ring. We're clearly missing 1, maybe 2 here. We're clearly missing 1 over here. Again, the most tragic one. And then 1 over there, and potentially 1 in that gap. I could be wrong. But yeah, that means we're probably on 4 more EnderDragon kills to go, which is, it's probably wrong. You know, making guesses is always a good way to be wrong, but that's okay. But yeah, I think the whole like, oh yeah, so positive versus negative action thing, for the longest time it seemed like it was just, you know, society can trick you into thinking certain ways by framing the debate differently, you know? The exact same situation, is it taking someone's money away, or is it, you know, giving money back by stopping taking the money away? Depends on how you're ideologically bent, and or, you know, like, is it murdering someone to, you know, like, to not save them when they're drowning, or is that just choosing, you know, exercising your freedom not to have to save lives? You know, there's a trillion circumstances we can talk about and look at, many of which seem dumb on the surface. You know, all of which probably seem dumb on the surface if we're being real. You know, like if you look at anything in the wrong light, it looks kind of silly. But I think the thing that tells us is not that, oh yeah, society is inherently hypocritical, because that's the easiest answer to get to. Like, oh yeah, everything is hypocritical, and we only use them as tools to you know, like, to keep people down. Like, you know what? The reason that I'm not an astronaut like I want to be is because society only lets people get it. You know, like, you can think about stuff like that. But I like to think about it instead as like, no, the way it's set up, this is like a, you know, this isn't an issue of how the world works. This is an issue of how humans work. We are very, you know, like, the difference between how something should be, starting from scratch with something, and how something, you know, should be done is, you know, like, the practicalities of how something should be done. That is something that you need to work from the status quo with. Like, if you want to make a competitor to the iPhone or something, I don't know, like, I'm assuming that's a thing people want. If you're going to make a brand new thing, you know, let's just say I have this great idea. It's for virtual reality, but it's also feelings, and you feel like you're holding swords and stuff. It's like, okay, so how are you going to do that? The idea itself is worthless without the execution, but that's not to say the idea is worthless. Not everything is all about execution. You don't have to look at every single thing in the world and be like, oh yeah, if it can't be done, there's no point in it existing. Instead, it comes down to this same, it's a divide that I think the world is truly, you know, we always like to say we're divided, like, oh, it's about urban, rural, it's about conservative, liberal, it's about people who play Minecraft and people who, you know, don't understand what good quality gaming is. I think the reality is like, you know, there's two ways to see the world. There's seeing it through ideas. You know, idea-driven stuff is important to have. We need to have high concept things in existence in general. That makes sense. But at the same time, that's not the only thing we need. We need a lot of things that aren't perfect formed ideas, but are instead the best versions of them. You know, you need to take an idea, you know, start with a perfect formed version of something, and then work out, like, okay, and what's actually in the world? What's a close thing that you can actually do that isn't catastrophic for huge swaths of the world? You know, rather than saying, oh yeah, I would like a world. You know what? What's something I would like? You know, I think again, I've said this before. I find it terrifying that there is just a group in society that have, like, this is executive authority to just end someone as being. But, like, you know, why does it exist? Because, you know, taking it away is scary and blah, blah, blah. Instead of just saying, I would like it to not exist, which is how a lot of people talk about issues of policing and stuff. Like, right, yeah, for instance, you know, I don't like the idea of taxing income. I've said before, you know, that's a wild, wacky opinion. Like, that's where I'm in a huge minority. But it's like, oh yeah, I think that we should tax things that you don't want people to do, like, you know, whatever various vices or whatever. Like, how can you get fewer people to smoke and save their lives? You tax it, then, you know, fewer people are willing to smoke because it's more expensive. They're starting to pay the full costs of what they're doing. It's a great economic system. How do you get fewer people to, you know, want to make money? By saying that, oh my god, it happened again. By saying that if you earn money, we'll take some of that from you and make it less likely you do so. That's one of my ideas. It's dumb. It's obviously not one you can realistically enforce. But instead of you know, instead of just trying to be like, oh yeah, I want a world where we don't do that, because you can't just take away the largest source of government revenue that exists. Instead, you got to propose, like, how else could it be done? You know, you could raise taxes here, or, you know, you could do this instead. You could lower the spending so you don't need as many taxes. You could, you know, and if you're being, like, pragmatic about the ideas. Yeah, we're gonna have to just fully leave, aren't we? Oh, okay. I loaded up the world again, and the same glitch has happened, but now the dragon just isn't on her little pillar. She's over here instead. I'm just so confused as to how all of this happens. Where's there? Nope. It's. Oh, okay. Wait. She's here now. Okay. Perfect. Bizarre, but perfect. Sure, I'll take it. I think you know, like it's kind of like, you know, pragmatism is very important. Working out how you can actually get something done, you know, like doing some good is better than wanting to do all the good and not, you know. That's always been my viewpoint, my take on the world. And yeah, it's just I guess it's an interesting reminder though. The best thing you can often do is not dream of perfection, but rather work towards slightly less bad. And you know, that seems weird, but like on an individual level, that's all we can ever do. It's, you know, like when I think about like Minecraft projects, it's fun to have grand ideas. What if I coated the entire end in glass? It's fun to, you know, big ideas are fun, but when it comes to actually doing them, you need to break them down into individually doable steps. It's near impossible to get things done if you aren't, you know, if you think you're the only, you know, if you think of the only two states as achieving grand ideas or not achieving grand ideas, then you'll never achieve anything, right? You can never get anything done if that's your like definition of win or not. But if instead you look at it and you're like, okay, grand ideas is the end goal, that's where I'd like to be. You know, ideas can drive us as a species. That's why we create so many of them. You know, we have so many shared ideas that don't make any sense, aren't even real, but we love them anyway because they help us feel good. You know, security is one of those. Like, feeling like you're not going to be bombed on a plane is something that people are paying a lot for in their things, and it's a price that people feel like is worthwhile when you phrase it to them like that. You know, when it actually comes to doing individual things, you need to think about how things are now and how can you move that one step forwards. Then you think about from there, if that step works and everything's fine, how do you move things forwards another step, etc., etc., you know? And that, you know, that's how Minecraft projects work. You can't just decide, I want to cover my end in glass. Well, I don't have any glass, and how are you going to cover the entire end? You're going to need a lot of that. So it's going to be like, okay, pragmatically, I'm going to have to mine for hours sand. I think I needed like 35,000 sand or something. Then I need to wait hours and hours and hours for it to smelt. Even with dozens of furnaces, it still takes a long time to smelt that many things. Let me tell you, there's a fun fact for you. But also look, we got criticals again. You know, like you need to move it step by step by step towards the goal. You need to have the idea as the grand vision, but then if you're actually thinking about the grand vision, you need to do it in lots of steps. And each of those steps, you know, if you're talking about the real world with real consequences, each of those steps needs. Oh darn it, we missed an opportunity to attack the dragon. Each of those steps needs to be slightly better. You know, if you want to move to a world where you've got, you know, you never have to kill the dragon again, so she can never spawn again, so she can never destroy your glass. Sometimes, as ridiculous as it sounds, you might have to take a loss in the short term, knowing that you can fix that in the long term. And you can do that on a personal level, obviously. But yeah, sometimes the reality. Ooh, I was way too close to that. Should not have done that. Also, I guess we're flying around following the dragon now. It seems easy way to get a little bit of extra damage done. Maybe. Honestly, it's mostly just fun. I'd love to do an entire flying run of the dragon. The only problem is she goes to the center, which actually makes it hard for you to hit her with arrows. But I digress. But yeah, so I think looking at the status quo and moving forwards is the most important thing you can do. I know, here's an example, right? Like, you watching this video right now. Hello, by the way. Thank you for choosing to watch me kill a dragon repeatedly over and over again. You might think, like, there's absolutely no point in choosing to support this video in any way. Why bother liking it? Like, you know, it's already got like 600 likes. What's 601? You know, like 10 you know, it's interesting. You can drive people towards doing those sorts of things by being like, oh yeah, if everyone just gives $1, I'd have $1.5 million that I could give to anti-charity. Yeah, I'm gonna spend it on things you don't want explicitly. I'm gonna, I'm gonna donate it to cancer, not cancer support, cancer. I actively want it to spread. Whatever dumb jokes I'm gonna make, but like I think like looking at the likes. If you say like, oh yeah, can we hit 10,000 likes? A collective goal where everyone's like, yeah, I'm gonna do my bit to get there. Gets way more done than being like, oh, just like the video individually, and then there'll be one more like. That's an uninspiring message. But yeah, that's why people come up with these collectives of like, can we hit 10,000 likes? I can't believe, and it works on people. It's a very small goal, but it makes you think like, yeah, I'm just gonna do my little bit. That's why so many streamers always have like sub goals, member goals. I don't tend to have those when I stream, but like, yeah, it's so inspiring to hit like a certain amount in like it's a certain number of members, a certain number of donations, and also people want to, whenever like there's a big bunch of people doing it, it's called like a sub train or a donation train or a tip train or whatever. People like to jump on and be like, yeah, I'm gonna make this longer. I am just one part of this big thing, and I'm entirely okay with that. And it's fascinating to see and to think about. We're gonna do one more. I'm not sure if we need to do another one after this. And we're gonna go look to see if that. Oh, we're still missing the one over there. Maybe it will never generate because the glass is in the way. I actually don't know. I genuinely do not know. But it's exciting to see these end gateways come in by the batch. Oh no, it did spawn in, and it didn't ruin the thing. Heck yeah. Although now there's a weird spacing between that and that. No, that's fine. So we've got one more to go over there. And then where else do we have more to go? One more is definitely going to go over here. And then I think that is actually it. Only 2 more dragon fights after this one, huh? That's what I like to hear. So let's go up here. Let's take down some easy towers. Or maybe let's not. And boy, am I excited. And just like that, another one bites the dust. Or actually another one becomes dust. It doesn't do much biting. It bites and then it turns into dust. Another one bites, comma, the dust. I guess we could phrase that as. And let's see which end portal spawn. Oh, it's that one we were missing over there. You can always tell which one's newest, by the way, because it has this purple beam going through it for a bit. Which means either we have none left to get, or, as I think is perhaps more likely, there is just one more to be done. So let's make some blaze powder. Let's make an IF ender, and we need to go get some glass too. I have a big shulker box full of glass that I left in the end. Probably should have just been using that for most of this time, huh? But now we're gonna go and do that. So just like that, over the course of today's video, you've seen me go from wanting to have an entirely, wanting to not have to have dragon spawn anymore, to working out how to do it. Okay, gotta kill the dragon a bunch of times, enough times that I'll never need to kill her again. So I've got all the end gateways I could ever want or need. And then from there, the final step, and then obviously getting all the things I need for these end crystals. Ghast tears are not easy to get. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if someone's like, oh, well, there's a bizarre farm you can technically make that makes them easy. No, that's not how I got them. I got them the painful way. Maybe that's on me though. But yeah, we went from that to where we are right now. I would say a positive change. Maybe you disagree, or maybe you really agree. That's down to you. But I think the individual steps towards a bigger goal is like how we fundamentally work as humans, and it almost is. It seems like hypocrisy, but really it's just two things working together. We need, like doing lots of individual actions seems like a bummer, and like individual actions are how we fundamentally survive. Like if you want to survive, you don't get to think like, oh yeah. If you're a caveman, you don't get to think like, ethically, is it okay that I kill all these woolly mammoths? No, like that's something that comes after you have so much excess food that you can start thinking about only eat. Oh my god, how is it not going down? You can see them landing so close to the dragon, but just no cigar. But the idea of ethically eating is something that can only happen when you have so much of an excess as a species that you can do that. The idea, here's a personal example, because like in Minecraft, everyone's world has big ideas you're slowly working towards step by step by step, right? But you know, here's an example I've been working on as a channel. I've got another really cool like merch opportunity thing lined up. I don't just do merch all the time. I'm not the guy who's like, you know what? I've got this limited time T-shirt that costs $60 that you gotta buy this very minute, or else it'll go away forever. Like just using weird techniques to lure people in. I instead, like, if there's something I'm genuinely super excited about, I'll do that. And so you know, there's this new thing I've been working on. It's let's just say it's super adorable. I'm really excited to get one for myself. And yeah, but the interesting thing about it is it can only exist if I think it's like 400 people choose to get one, because manufacturing, obviously, blah 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 blah. And it's so terrifying to think myself, like, I have no idea how I will convince 400, you know, like 400 sales of anything is a ludicrous number when you really think about it. I have no idea how I'm going to do it, and therefore I was like, oh, I don't know if I can. And then I realized, you know, I'm going to try my best. I don't know if my best will be enough, but like let's try, you know, with every let's, you know, hopefully you know, some people will choose to purchase the thing to make the thing happen, and then we can have this super adorable thing in the world. And yeah, so it's something that's coming over the December period. I'm so incredibly excited for it. Yes. I don't want to waste the face of the dragon. I'm so incredibly excited for it. And again, just by doing the individual actions of like, okay, let's hopefully promote it here. Let's hopefully promote it there. Let's, you know, do some streams, make it the sponsor of Streamless or something. And then we can hopefully make the thing come into reality. I think, like, small steps towards the big goals are really important. It's something that inspires me to do better things than I otherwise would, you know, believing I'm, you know, serving some grand, greater purpose. It's something, you know, that's the reason why, unless people think something is, like, necessary, they find it much harder to do. You gotta sell them a story. You gotta have a narrative, a fiction to go along with it. Because, you know, we like to have, you know, like, the reason so many people believe their country is the best is because, like, well, I mean, it can't just be that I'm only in the country that I happen to be born in. That's not an inspiring story. What's inspiring is that this is the greatest country on God's green earth. Do people say God's green earth? I feel like they might. You know, it's a fiction we tell ourselves. Also, I think, could be wrong, looks like we have finished all of the end gateways. God, that was a lot of work. I kind of want to do one more just to see if, like, you know, like, just in case another one just starts appearing. I know it's 20, it says it's 20 on Java and Bedrock. Maybe more will appear. Maybe because my world's got that thing, something happens. You know, it seems remiss for me not to find out. Like, why kill the dragon this many times if we can kill the dragon this many times plus one? This one's just for me, you know? All those other times I was doing it, you know, because I really believed. This time I'm doing it for curiosity. Oh, okay, we need to make more blaze powder. This time I'm doing it because I believe really strongly, you know? Again, it's, that was all for business. This is for pleasure. You know, there's another way you can divide the world, you know, business or pleasure. Should things be done because they need to be done, or should they be done because you want to do them? And the answer's like, well, if you only did things you want, the world would be a pretty tragic and scary place, you know? Like, very quickly, the luxury of being able to do things you want and not that you need, again, it kind of, if you think about most of humanity's past, not really a big thing. For most of the time, you had to do the most necessary thing to survive. Sometimes that thing would be awful. And, you know, the concept of morals, you know, like, even language is semi-new to humans. You know, spoken language is surprisingly recent. Written languages in only thousands of years old, like, not tens of thousands, single digits of thousands of years old. You know, the fact that that is true, the fact that we didn't even have a way to, like, share ideas, let alone write them down and consider, like, what's the best path forwards, and, you know, like, you know, is there any ethical consumption under oh, Christ. You know, these are all, like, considerations that just couldn't be had for most of history. And it's super interesting to think about, in my opinion. Or maybe it's not. Maybe thinking about the world is hard and complex, and who wants to do it? Please let me hit you, dragon. Yeah. Okay, so we've got 2 pork chops. I really want to make sure they last for this fight. You know, of all the things, like, running out of food on this last fight would make me feel extra silly. But yeah, I'm starting to believe. Also, yeah, I think I accidentally just, you know, I said this forever. I've been trying to make shorter Let's Plays, but I have not succeeded in the slightest. It is going terribly for me. And, you know, the reason I want to do that is because even though, like, it's really hard. Like, having a series be this length, the longer the videos get after a certain point in time, I think it's about half an hour, the longer a video gets, the less appealing it is to watch. Who wants to sit down to watch an hour-long video? It's a very hard thing to reconcile with. And it only really works because enough people are like, yeah, actually, I would like to watch that. I'm gonna go through the extra steps to make sure that this does, you know, like, there's various tiny things. You know, that liking the video makes it very slightly more favorable in algorithms, maybe. I don't actually know for sure. I'm pretty sure it's very close to zero, the like thing, but it's a small little boost, right? The leaving a nice comment that makes ToycatA actually want to come back to the Let's Play comments. I've gone on, you know, I mentioned before, like, YouTube comments can go from, you know, this nice place to this, like, scary, toxic hole so fast. You know, helping to make it a slightly better place by just saying, oh yeah, here's a thing I liked, here's a response to something you said, here's a, you know, just something. I find comments can be the best part of YouTube, and they can be the worst part of YouTube. Helping to make it the best part, really great thing to do. You know, supporting whatever various things, you know, if you can't watch the streams, then, or tip on the streams, or become a channel member, then like, oh yeah, there's these occasional merch drops. You can't get those, then, you know what? You know, just as long as the longer you watch a video through, the more it helps. There's like tiny ways to help a thing that you want to exist more in the world, that seem really minor. Like, even watching ads on these videos, every now and then you see people be like, oh yeah, I think advertising's real bad, so I just don't watch it. Yeah, that shows the system. And it's like, well, not really, because they still have the other 99.9% of humans, and now there's a tiny dent in your, you know, like, the people who suffer are like the people who rely on those ads. Sometimes maybe it's a news site that you don't like anyway, like, yeah, screw that clickbait rag. Why do people call newspapers rags? I've always wanted to know. I guess you're saying that it's, like, not a good thing, but, like, I always find it cringy when people are like, oh yeah, that's a real rag of a paper. It's like, you know what? I don't call anything a rag. I don't call actual rags rags, you know? So why do people, you know, tangent, no tangents. Actually, you know what? Tangents are the best bit of the Let's Play. And if you like seeing tangents, let me know. If you don't like tangents, then unlet me know. Yeah, that's a thing you can do. I'm really curious. I'm like 99% sure this last dragon fight was just for pleasure, not for business. But I wonder, maybe if it would be. Oh no, please don't fly away. Thank you. So yeah, I am intensely curious. I mean, it can't be, right? There shouldn't be. But you never know with Bedrock. That's the beautiful thing. You know, like, bugs on Bedrock, most of the time are like, oh god, something terrible's happening and my dragon's frozen. But every now and then, you get something wonderful from it. Wait, is that two of... Oh no, okay, that's just in the background. Yep, we've officially done it. I think, you know, it seems like a waste, but just doing a little check, a little confirmation, is great. Now we have all of these end portals. I think I want to build something around them, like a nice little circle to connect it all. And that way I can put some water around them so you can just swim straight into any of these that you want. That's definitely... There's lots of tiny ideas that we can totally work on. But having all of the portals means that I no longer have to spawn in the EnderDragon. No more can all of this glass be destroyed by dragons and explosions and all that stuff. And sometime soon... Oh god, I looked at a bunch of Endermen apparently. Sometime soon I can work to restore the immense damage that has been done to my end. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. You don't need to give me anything or do anything if you don't want to. But if you believe that that's how, you know, that the tiny actions of thousands are what make the YouTube comments a slightly nicer place on these Let's Play plays, or you think that's how the likes hit a new... Can we hit 10,000 likes? We can't, by the way. But if you think that those are the way that those things happen, then make it a thing. I think deep conversations are where there's no clear answer, much harder to have than a conversation that goes, yep, and the answer is the moon landing, you know? You want to learn more about the moon landing? You can find out by simply... Look, the sun's going back. So weird. You want to learn more about it? Watch more videos on youtube.com/ToycatA. That's right, we'll talk about the moon landing like no one else will. Anyway, I had actually a lot of fun today. This was something I've been dreading because I was like, I'm gonna die. But I didn't even die. I didn't even die. And I got rid of some food and some gas tears. So that's good, really, if you think about it. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.